Yes, the police did steal the ATM. Yesterday was a hell of a ride. I ended up selling a couple ATMs to somebody, but had to transport them 4.5 hour drive from where I live. Day was hectic. Started off early, ended late, and unfortunately, the police ended up taking the ATM anyways. So here's part of the trip. What is up, everybody? It is Drake here once again with DSF Financial, showing like-minded individuals like yourself the ATM business and how I'm making my money work for me through passive income. As you see here, I am in Big Red as rocks are getting thrown at the freaking windshield. Jesus criminy. I am in Big Red, or Little Red when it fits me. And I got one ATM loaded up now. And I'm actually on the way to pick up another one. What I had to do today actually is started out in Dallas, Texas. I drove to Austin. I picked this bad boy up from a guy that I know that was selling an ATM. And I'm on my way to San Antonio now to pick up another ATM and drop them both off in San Antonio, program them, install one, and then I'll be back heading home. So it's going to be a heck of a day. It already is about 1:30 right now, my time. And I started at about 8:15, 8:20 this morning. So I've been going strong at it and going to keep on going. Now, just like last time when I had to load up Little Red here with two ATMs, it did take a little bit of some Tetris action. And I was actually able to figure it out. This time, I'm actually thinking it's going to be a little less difficult to load up because both of them actually are the Halo 2s, which just so happen to be a little bit smaller height-wise. So hopefully I'm not pressed up against the steering wheel super tight like last time, but time will tell. I still do have the dolly bag here that I do need to load up in the passenger seat as well, which is also going to be an interesting task once again. But I think hopefully it'll be a little bit easier since it is the second time doing it. Now with this type of situation we have going on here is we're actually buying two ATMs and then we're in turn selling them to somebody that actually purchased a couple ATMs from me back in July. If you guys haven't seen it, check out the video. I'll list it up here below. I was a hotel owner, was looking to buy some ATMs. He's actually looking at another way of trying to get some more money, and ATMs is a way to do it. So what I'm doing today is getting these ATMs over to San Antonio to him. I'm going to sell it to him, and then I'm going to go ahead and program the ATMs. And we're going to go ahead and install one of the ATMs, which is actually going to be an outdoor unit. So we're going to be purchasing an outdoor cover and things like that. But today what I'm doing is I'm going to install it first, and then shortly we'll be ordering a cover for it. So it'll be available for downtown people in San Antonio. So come on with me here. I already picked up that first ATM like I mentioned, on my way to pick up number 2. All right, yes, we did make it here, and look what I got loaded up. It is a wonderful Halo 2. Yep, I was able to get both of them installed. Now it's time to get this thing get this thing out of the car, and then start programming and installing. Follow with me. Now, as you saw or didn't see, the ending of the video with it actually installed. It was a long day, and during that time I did hit some traffic. It was a little frustrating, but I made it to the location as you saw. But unfortunately I did not take any video of actually programming the machine or actually installing it. As I'm sure you could understand, San Antonio can get a little sketch at times, and with it being sketchy, I wasn't trying to hang around on the street with the ATMs and programming them and whatnot with homeless people just strolling behind me. But guess what? I think I was just recognized by the first person from the YouTube channel. Now listen to this. I'm programming the ATMs on the street, pretty much on a bridge right over the Riverwalk. And it's about 5 o'clock in the evening once it's all said and done, and I was able to start programming. And as I'm programming the machine, the doors are wide open of the safe, and as people are walking by, they're like, oh, take an extra 20 out for me, or as a joke, or they're starting to question like why I'm actually inside of the ATM, probably trying to figure out if I was a legitimate person fixing the ATM or filling it or whatnot. As I was doing this, multiple homeless people actually would walk by, some of which would mumble things to their imaginary friend, I presume, or try and talk to me as well, like, hey, you got a spare 20 in there? Can I have some spare change? If you've been into any big city, I'm sure you've experienced it yourself. The panhandling is pretty intense. But there is a silver lining to this, actually. A little bit down the street, a gentleman was kind of hollering at me. I couldn't really understand what he was saying or if he was even talking to me. But as he got closer, he looked like one of the people that was just essentially begging for money. So I tried not to pay him too much attention, but then he brought up, wait, are you the ATM guy on the YouTube? And then that took me back for a second. And I was like, huh? And then he proceeded to say, yeah, YouTube doesn't skip by me. I've seen you on YouTube. You do the ATMs. And then it hit me. I was like, holy crap. Somebody actually recognized me from the street, from the YouTube videos. So if you're watching this, my friend, shout out to you. You're the first one that recognized me. And hopefully you do see it. Maybe next time I see you, I'll throw you a 20. But yeah, that was a little crazy and a little bit of a highlight of the night as the night did carry on. What I didn't explain in the video is that it was going to be going pretty close to an old ER and hospital that's in downtown San Antonio. And the person that I know actually has access to the building. So we were trying to get power inside of the ER and inside of the hospital. And might I add, it is pretty darn scary in there. There is no lights. We're walking around with our flashlights, with the phones, trying to find keys to open up doors so we can try and find power. And I could only imagine, with me experiencing, the San Antonio street for maybe a half hour, 45 minutes when I was outside on the street doing the ATMs, how crazy that ER and hospital must have been when it was open. If only those walls would talk. I'm sure they had some pretty crazy stories. Somebody actually that was going to help install those ATMs used to work in that hospital. Shout out to my boy Sam, who's also in the ATM game as well. He was actually used to work in that hospital, so it was kind of a small world, small type of situation that kind of threw me for a loop. The hospital has been closed for a little while, but my buddy used to work there. Go figure. That hospital, though, was pretty eerie, though. Just walking around the rooms, seeing all the random paperwork on the floors, and just kind of a creepy vibe. A couple holes were busted through the walls. I guess there's been a lot of vagrants that have been in that hospital as well. So it was definitely a little interesting. Now, back to the install with those ATMs. So I was able to get one of them programmed fully. Now, here's some thought for you if you are working with used ATMs specifically. Make sure you have all of the passcodes, all of the the safe combination, the passwords to actually get into the programming of the ATM. And what do you know? One of the ATMs that I got from my buddy, he actually forgot what the main master password was. So I was only able to program one of the ATMs fully. Then the second one, I couldn't really do anything with it because I only had the operator's password, which essentially just gives me access to fill and load the machine. Now, because I couldn't get that ATM up and running, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do it over the phone because it is gonna end up in Houston, and I'm gonna try and avoid a drive to Houston to program it and do all that stuff. So I'm gonna have to do that remotely. Now with the one that we were able to get programmed, or I was able to get programmed fully, the question was, where were we gonna install the ATM? Because it is a big city, we're thinking about safety, we're thinking about homeless people messing with it, maybe unplugging the machine, vandalizing it. It is going to be an outdoor unit, so that is one thing you have to think about. Also think about the elements in that outdoor unit. Is it going to be covered so there's not a ton of rain falling on it? Is there going to be, in a dusty area? Are there going to be a lot of trash around? Just things to think about. What we decided actually is we would put it actually on the Riverwalk specifically. Tons of traffic back and forth there. The person that's buying the ATM actually owns part of that property. So that's kind of what we were thinking. We did have to carry that freaking thing down the stairs at the Riverwalk. If you've been there, I'm sure you could understand how interesting that was. Luckily, the dolly came in clutch, but it was still an interesting task to say the least. And unfortunately, no video of that. I was honestly to my wit's end by that point. I just wanted to get that thing installed so I can jet back home, because San Antonio is about 4.5 hours from Dallas area where I live, and I still had to continue that drive after installing everything and after just driving there in the morning time. So I was just taxed, mentally taxed. So I wanted to get that ATM installed, and because of that, I unfortunately didn't get any video. So sorry about that, guys. We do put it down on the Riverwalk. People actually are walking by. They're like, oh, interesting location. This is going to do a good thing. A couple people walked by, of course, made the joke, hey, take another 20 out for me. It is fairly customary in the ATM business. As we're trying to figure out, running the power, and we're also trying to figure out of security as well. We're thinking maybe we shouldn't drill it down quite yet, because we don't know of the proper location that he wanted it. What if, the city said something about it being on the Riverwalk, so we didn't want to bolt it down at that time. And because he does own that spot, we thought it was safe. What I did do as well is, oddly enough, the shutdown hospital, there was some pieces of train track. It looked like, track from a train that was cut, and we thought, okay, well, we'll weight down the ATM with that, because it is solid steel, pretty darn heavy. So we're like, okay, we'll put that in the machine. It's secure at least for the day until we try and figure out if we are going to install it specifically there or actually back on the street. So just running through our mind, the rail will suffice is what we're thinking. So end up getting that situated, enjoying a beer, appreciate that, my friend, and then I continued on my way home. And that was a long drive, to say the least, but I made it, no pit stops. Luckily, I hate stopping if I don't have to. I wake up in the morning with a message from the new owner of that ATM that the police department has confiscated the ATM. So apparently, even if you own the property that the Riverwalk is on, you still have to get permission from the city. I kind of thought that might be the case, which is partly why we didn't bolt the machine down, because we thought we may have to move it at a different time. As it turns out, anything on the Riverwalk is owned by the city, and the city said no ATMs. Okay, no harm, no foul. But where it gets a little interesting is the police department actually ended up taking the ATM. And what I'm thinking is we're very upset that they had to carry that ATM up the stairs at the Riverwalk with a very, very, very heavy piece of rail in the ATM box. So we unfortunately put it in a location where we couldn't have it. But then, because the police department had to move the ATM and transport it, they had to carry that son of a gun up the 2 flights of stairs. I think they're pretty upset that they had to do that. So now they're saying because it was on their property, it's now their property. And I do think they're playing a little hardball right now because of the situation, because they're probably frustrated they had to carry that thing up the stairs, that they're just messing with us a little bit. So hopefully that's not the case to where they actually keep the ATM forever, because we want that ATM still in San Antonio. With the hospital converting into a hotel, we're going to need the ATM in the hotel. So we're hoping the police department does give us the ATM back, but I'm not holding my breath too long. And what also sucks is there was a little bit of cash in the machine, and the police department now has that cash, which royally sucks. But I'm hopeful we'll be able to get it back. Do you think we will? Leave that comment down below. Are we going to get this money back and the ATM back? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. So yeah, that was my day yesterday. All in all, a long ass day, to say the least. I ended up leaving at 8 a.m., coming back home at 12:30 a.m. And unfortunately, all of it might have been for nothing, since the police now have that ATM. For me, I was still able to sell the ATM, but I do feel bad for the person that bought it, because I mean, it sucks. It definitely sucks. So I'm going to put my thinking cap on, see what I can do to try and get that ATM back. And he's also going to do the same. So make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit that like button, bell notification, all that jazz. I hope you guys have a great day. Keep grinding, keep hustling, keep striving for more every day, just like it's Monday. Until next time, guys. Later.